Welcome to another lesson as part of your free blogging mini course. Now in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to install a WordPress blog in under 5 minutes for less than $3 per month. Now if you want to follow along with this tutorial step by step, I want you to start at profitableonlineblog.com, and then I want you to scroll down and I want you to click on this Bluehost link. Now as part of this mini course, I've negotiated a 63% discount off of web hosting for your WordPress blog. Now Bluehost isn't a very powerful web host, but it will take you until your blog reaches about 10,000 visits per month. And the reason why I like Bluehost is because it is by far the cheapest web host at only $2.95 per month. So if you want to follow along, click on this link here and we will get started with this tutorial. So I'm going to click on Get Started and then I'm going to select the basic $2.95 a month plan. Now what's cool about Bluehost is that they give you a domain for free. So I'm just going to make something up for this example. And I'm going to see if my blog example is available here. Perfect, it's available. And so I'm just going to fill in my information here. And once you get down to this part, it's important that you uncheck all of these upsells because they are not necessary at all. And there's just extra ways for Bluehost to make money. All right, now I'm just going to enter in my credit card number here. Then I'm going to click Submit. Afterwards, I'm going to click on Create Account. And I'm just going to create a password here. And then click on Create Account. Then I'm going to go to Login. And I'm just going to log in with the password that I just entered in. And at this point here, Bluehost is creating my account. Now what's really nice about Bluehost is that it installs a WordPress blog for you and you don't really have to lift a finger. So you have to specify what you want to name your site, and I'm just going to call it My Blog Example. An example WordPress blog. I'm going to click that I want a blog. And none of this stuff really matters because it's changeable, but I'm just going to select a default here. Like I said, none of this stuff really matters. They're just trying to gather information about you. And then it's going to ask you to choose a theme. Now what's cool about Bluehost is that once you install WordPress, it has a whole variety of free themes for you to choose from. And the one that we are going to use for this example is called GeneratePress, which is actually a very popular free theme. All right, and at this point, Bluehost is installing WordPress. This will take a minute or two. Okay, it looks like the installation is complete. I'm going to click on Get Started, and I'm going to turn off domain privacy and protection because I don't want privacy. And then I'm just going to close this. Now, the first thing that I always do when I sign up for Bluehost is I go over to domains, and this is the domain that I just registered, and I want to manage it. All right? And the reason why is because all the information that you entered in with your credit card number is associated with the domain. So I want to change that. Okay, so I'm going to edit the registrant information, and I'm going to change the address to a PO box or a UPS store address. And if you don't have one of those, I highly recommend that you get one eventually. All right, and I'm just going to use info@profitableonlineblog.com. And for my phone number, I always like to use a Google Voice number, and Google Voice is free, so it's free to sign up. And once I've adjusted all those things for privacy, I'm going to click Save, Confirm Changes. It needs an organization. And that now protects your personal information from the registrar. Now at this point, what you need to do is you need to check your email because Bluehost has sent you a number of emails asking you to confirm your domain and your registration. All right, so I'm checking my email here and I notice 2 action required emails. So I'm going to click on this one that says action required, and I'm going to click on approve this change. Okay, so I've successfully verified my Whois contact information. And in the event that you didn't get an email, you can always click resend verification email. I'm just going to click it here just as an example here. The email has been sent. And then I'm going to check my email again and look, it arrived already. So just for good measure, I'm going to click on this again. and everything has been verified. All right. Now at this point, if you clicked refresh, it should say that the contact has been verified. And sometimes it takes a little bit. So let's see if it's gotten it yet. Like I said, sometimes it takes a little bit. Okay, great. Now the contact info is verified. Now we can go back home. And one thing you'll notice first, and this might be getting a little bit technical and you don't really need to know this stuff, but I'm going to tell you anyways. At first, what Bluehost does is it puts your site on a staging server. And the reason for this is because you just registered a brand new domain and it needs to point to your new website on Bluehost servers, and that takes a little bit of time to propagate. In fact, oftentimes the propagation time when you initially link a domain to a server or a brand new domain, it might take up to 24 hours. All right, but in the meantime, you can check out the WordPress backend by clicking on WordPress here. And keep in mind that at this point, the WordPress blog is already installed and you're pretty much ready to go. The site is not live yet at your domain because it takes a little bit amount of time to propagate through the domain servers. All right, but at this point, you can start customizing your blog early on. So go under Settings, General, and you can rename your blog, your tagline, all that stuff we touched earlier. And at this point, the best thing to do is just kind of get acquainted with the WordPress backend. And if you want, you can go back to the Bluehost website and you can check out what your site looks like or what it will look like. And this is what the Generate Press theme looks like. As you can see here, we named the blog My Blog Example and that sort of thing. Now, assuming you are done tweaking your site and messing around with your WordPress backend, it is now time to launch your website. And the way you do that is you click on WordPress here and you'll see this Coming Soon active yellow button. And if you click on it, you can find this blue button that tells you can launch your site. And once again, what this is doing is it's taking your site off of the staging server and putting it live. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this button here. And the site is now live. Now if the domain has propagated, it should show up as My Blog Example. Let's see if it works. As I mentioned before, sometimes this can take up to 24 hours to happen. Okay, great. It looks like it is up already. All right, so at this point, your website is almost 100% set up. The last thing to set up is your SSL certificate. And SSL basically allows your site to be secure, and it basically gives your site a padlock when people browse around your site. And this is essential these days for SEO purposes. It is a signal to rank. Basically, every single site needs to be secure today. Now you can't really set up SSL until Bluehost takes your site off of the staging server. And the way you know when that is complete is when you'll see your domain over here when it's time for your site to get ready to launch. All right, and so this takes a little bit amount of time, usually about an hour or so. This is just like a quirk of Bluehost here. And so I'm gonna come back in an hour. Now 45 minutes have elapsed, and I went back to my Bluehost control panel, and sure enough, my domain is now showing up here, which basically means that Bluehost has completely finished installing my blog, the domain is pointing at the server, and everything is all good. Now from here, the next step is to install SSL. And the way you do that is you go into the WordPress backend, and I want you to go under Plugins, Add New, and I want you to do a search for SSL. And there's this plugin called Really Simple SSL that'll just handle everything for you. So I'm going to install it and I'm going to activate it. So after you install the plugin, you need to go under Settings, SSL, and then you want to click Go Ahead, Activate SSL. And after you've done this, SSL is now installed, and in theory, you should now be able to go back to your blog. In this case, it's at myblogexample.com. And it should now have the padlock, which indicates that your site is fully secure. Now at this point, you are 100% done with installing the blog, and in subsequent lessons, we are going to teach you how to configure your blog to your liking. Now I hope you enjoyed that lesson, and if you're interested in learning more about how to make money with an online blog, feel free to check out our website over at profitableonlineblog.com. Now stay tuned for your next lesson.